Most of us are not unhappy because one big thing went wrong. We are unhappy because every day, in small ways, we keep practicing the same emotional state. What if the mood we keep trying to escape is the mood we keep training? Because our brain does not only become what we want, it becomes what we repeat. If the morning starts with scrolling, noise, stress, and quick dopamine, the brain learns that stillness is uncomfortable. If every boring moment gets filled with entertainment, focus starts to feel painful. So, how do we manage this without cutting out entertainment completely? Most people think happiness comes when life finally gets better, when there is more money, more time, better results, less stress. And that makes sense, because life does affect our mind. When things are heavy, it is not easy to just feel good. But that is not the full truth. Our brain is also being trained by our daily habits. I've struggled with this too, and I know how easy it is to think something is wrong with us when the real problem is the patterns we kept repeating. The first thing to understand is that the brain loves repetition. Whatever we repeat often becomes familiar, and whatever becomes familiar starts to feel normal, even when it is not good for us. So if we keep waking up and instantly feeding our brain with stimulation, comparison, messages, videos, and noise, we are teaching it to need chaos before the day has even started. That is why beginning the day with low stimulation matters so much. Not because we need some perfect morning routine, but because the first part of the day sets the tone. When we start slower, with quiet, water, sunlight, a short walk, or even just a few minutes without the phone, the brain gets a different message. It learns that the day does not have to begin in reaction mode. And this connects directly to dopamine. Dopamine controls a lot of our motivation. If we spend the early hours chasing quick rewards, normal work starts feeling boring. The brain begins to expect everything to be fast, easy, and instantly rewarding. But real progress is slower. It does not always feel exciting in the beginning. That is why we need to protect our dopamine instead of burning it before the day even starts. But is protecting our dopamine only about avoiding cheap stimulation? Not really. It is also about giving the brain a better state to work from. Because if our body stays still for hours, our mind often stays stuck in the same heavy place too. That is where movement starts to matter. A short walk, stretching, training, cleaning the room, or simply stepping outside can pull us out of the mental state we were stuck in. The problem is not that we need to think more. Our body just needs to move before our mind can feel different. And when movement pulls us out of that heavy state, we should not waste that moment. That is the moment to turn the energy into small actions. Because confidence does not come back from one massive life change. It comes back when we prove to ourselves, in a small way, that we can still follow through. Maybe it is finishing the task we almost avoided, taking the walk we nearly skipped, or starting the work before we feel ready. Those small wins remind the brain that we still have control. So let me wrap it up. Unhappiness is not always something that happens to us. Sometimes it is something we accidentally practice through repetition, overstimulation, lack of movement, and broken promises to ourselves. But the good part is that the brain can be trained in a new direction. A calmer morning, less cheap dopamine, more movement, and small daily wins can slowly rebuild the way we feel. So be honest with yourself. What is one thing in your day that might be training your mind to feel worse without you noticing?